Hello. Hi, everybody. Welcome. I am excited to be here. This is going to be interesting because I've never actually done this live on video before, but we're going to be sewing a face mask today. We're going to talk a little bit about face masks, a little bit about materials. I'm going to give the caveat now. This is based on the research that I've done. This is also just based on my preferences for masks, but you can take this and run with it. What I love, I always say it's like drawing the human form. You learn how to draw the human form first, and then you can mess around with it. So we're going to talk a little bit as well about a couple of alterations that I've made to the pattern that I discovered online. Also where I got the pattern and stuff. But who am I and why am I doing this? So my name is Hilary Raven Porter. I am a multidimensional healer and a Tamiana Star Seed Oracle and sewer. So we talked about this, and this is such a thing right now, right? We have a choice to wear the masks. We have a choice not to wear the masks. If a place requires us to wear a mask when we go in, we then have the choice to shop there or not. This is all within your comfort zone and how you choose to move around the reality that is happening to us right now. So we're going to talk. Let's just dive in. Yeah, sounds good. Okay, so I started making these. Oh my goodness. I would say about a month and a half ago. So part-time, besides my healing side, I also work at the community grocer. Oh, we have visitors. It's okay. No worries. We have a special guest in the background here. So I also work part-time at a community grocer, and somebody had come in and was asking if we had masks for sale, and we said we didn't. And so, of course, I jumped on that and was like, hey, you know what? I can provide this for the community as well. So, yeah, I've messed around and made multiple different masks, and this is the one that I prefer the most. So where I got this mask pattern was Tiana's Closet. So I'll just show you here. See? Tiana's Closet, Tiana''s closet, but there's no apostrophe when you type it in the search bar. These are the patterns, and she actually has 3 patterns on her website. So there's the different types. There's the ones that are like the rectangular and you have the folding. So basically they look like the paper ones that you get, you know, when you go to the doctor and they just go behind your ear. You can make those ones. That's one style. This is the ninja style mask, so it's a bit form-fitting. I have a special guest. She doesn't have a name. See, I put my hair up today and I was like, I'll show it on myself, but it's going to get stuck in the bobby pins. So it's form-fitting. So this one is the smaller size. So on Tiana's mask site, she actually has a large one. What does she call it? She calls it adult male. I call it the bigger size. And then the adult female, I call the littler size. And then they also have the kidlet size, which is like super small. Okay. So that's the pattern. You can print it out from the website, and then you can adjust it. I make the bigger and the littler. The kid one I only make upon request, just because it's such a different size. The large one, okay, first I suggest if you're making more than one, if you're making 1 or 2, a paper cutout is fine. If you're making more, I highly suggest making that paper cutout onto cardboard. You can probably see here, it's like lovely and chewed up from when I'm cutting it and stuff. If you have paper, it tends to rip a lot more quickly, right? So putting them, oh, thank you. Oh, I thought you were like, no, open. Oh, I thought she was opening them and I was like, keep it open. Feels good. So what I did though with her mask, if you choose to use her pattern, is I extended the small one. So as you can see, I'm gonna do the 2-tone here. So this is the littler size. This is the adult female size, right? And what I did is you can see it's a bit shorter. So I found it cut quite a bit in here and it could actually pull. So all I did is I took it, see, so that's at the front, and I extended it to be the same depth around this way as the large one, okay? Her large one I measured is approximately, once it's sewn, 7.5 inches from the bridge of the nose. So they curve down, bridge of the nose all the way down to under the chin. The smaller one is about 6.5. That's the size that I usually wear. Okay, so you got your pattern. That's your first step. And then you have your material. Okay, material, right? So I have my templates already cut out here for speed of service. But material, the types of materials, what kind do you want to use? There's so much stuff out there. You'll find some people using interfacing. I actually just read some articles about like what actually is in interfacing though, if you're ironing it on. Because you have to consider, we're putting them here, but with the filters you use and the material you are using, what is in those as well? Because you're going to be breathing that in. So there's been some concerns with people using things like vacuum filters because there can be, oh my goodness, fiberglass in them. So you're protecting yourself against one thing, but you're actually hurting yourself in another way, right? Because once fiberglass gets in your lungs, it causes a ton of issues. So when you're making these, if you're doing any adjustments, and you're like, oh, I'll use this for a filter, I'll use this for a filter, I'll use this for material, really consider all of those aspects, okay? And do your research. One person says one thing, even if you're listening to me and you're like, oh, it kind of makes sense, or you're like, no, I'm gonna look into this more, please do, okay? I'm not claiming to be an expert, I'm just sharing what I already have researched myself. So the types of materials that are really good, you wanna have a small weave. I came across a mask a couple weeks ago, and the weave, oh, you're so welcome, Brittany. The weave was quite big. And so it was great, and it looked like protection, but like, I don't know if you can see the scarf that I'm wearing. See, can you see, look at how that weave is. You can see the light through it. That's how big the weave was on this mask. So you can imagine it's not really stopping much if that is your intention with it. Oh, hey, Sam! So you want a tighter weave, okay? The tighter weave is good. Cotton is gonna be good. Cotton silk blend, the natural fibers are actually your best. Wool, be careful. You know how cheap that would be? Oh my goodness. So cheap. But can you imagine alpaca? Oh, like a soft alpaca, like Angora mask. But don't quote me on that. I have no idea, and that would be a very expensive mask. Okay, so I've been going and purchasing quilters cotton and finding the tightest weave I can, because they're not all created equally, and they don't often say what the weave is. So a way to test it is literally to look through it up into the light, okay? Another thing you can do is go through your house. I took apart, my kid grew out a whole bunch of shirts, and they were like awesome cotton button-down shirts. And I was like, sweet, there's some material. Duvet covers. Do you have an old duvet cover that is like not worn through and you're just like, well, I don't really need this? There you go. You got material for face masks right there, right? Because they're often cotton. Cotton polyester can be also okay, but you have to watch the amount because you still do have to breathe. One of the things that does come with masks is you are having this. Where is this? It's over your nose and your mouth. So what's happening is you're circulating the carbon dioxide that you're breathing out, right? Yeah, some people have been using it's what you make baby diapers out of. It's got like a plastic lining. It's crazy, you cannot breathe through that stuff. Yes, it's super protective, but you can't actually breathe. And there's been some concerns about that as well, of people actually, there's a runner actually that fell to his demise, unfortunately, because he was running with a mask on and he basically asphyxiated. So just a caution, just words of caution, but I mean, these are for daily, like I wear mine when I go out. This is my special one, right? But just do your research, that's all I'm saying. Look into stuff. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna take your pattern. Oh, other tools. Talked about material. Cotton silk is best. Like I said, quilter's cotton. Make sure you wash it. Please, just hand wash, hang to dry. Wash it in the washing machine, hang to dry, dry in the dryer, doesn't matter. But wash it to get out any sizing, any extra chemicals, because they do when they put them through in the dyes and stuff. You just want to make sure that's clear because, again, this is right against your face and you're breathing this in. So we want to make sure also the irritation that can happen on your skin, you want to make sure you get any of that sizing off. It's the same when you buy clothes for the first time. You're like, why does it feel like this? And then you wash it and you're like, it feels so much better. It's because of that material that's on it that they put there. Okay, you're going to need an elastic or a piece of string or a shoelace, as long as it's long enough. Because the masks that I'm going to be showing you how to make, don't go behind your ears, right? Because this is irritating. You get monkey face first off, which is fine, but it's so uncomfortable, especially if you're wearing it for more than 15 minutes, right? So these guys, you can either wear like this. You can also take this. So if your ear is going to be, I'm going backwards here. Your ear is going to be here. So you can put it over your ear and then down. You can also, because these are fitted, wear them both down like this. If you're not talking too much, it's going to stay on there, okay? We're not putting a filter in today, but I will talk about how you can adjust the pattern to put a filter in. We're not putting in a piece of metal today. Some people put a piece of metal in here so that it can be crimped down, which is beneficial if you have glasses because they fog up. But we're not going to be doing that today. We're doing a simple, easy peasy, how you can put this together yourself, okay? Okay, if you have questions, let me know. Oh, what does she say here? Sarah says cotton pillowcases are a really good option as well if you have any old one, like, yes, or bamboo. See, the natural fibers. Thank you, Sarah. Totally, any of these things that you have laying around, I don't even know how many pillowcases I have extra. So elastic, or like I said, string. You can also take a t-shirt and cut it to the length that you need. This is the number that I've found. This is 22 inches, just so you know. By the way, it's double, so it is actually, see, 22 inches is kind of the number that I found for these masks with the extended side. If you're using the template from Tiana's and it's the shorter side, then you want about 24 inches, okay? Okay, seam ripper, my best friend sometimes, because I accidentally sew things I'm not supposed to. You can use scissors, but this honestly makes your life so much easier. We've got a chopstick. And I just realized this is where the chopstick went that I was looking for the other day in the kitchen. It's chopstick. You can also use your fingers. We'll get to that point. I have scissors, just in case. And then this has saved, because literally, I was telling Julie, I have like 60 masks waiting to be prepped at home right now. By prepped, I mean I'm just putting in the elastics, and then they're going to be sent over to the market garden for sale. But this, you see, it's got the edge. And so I can just push down to cut the patterns out. Super simple and quicker than cutting. But if you're just making a couple, cutting with scissors is fine. Okay, so what you're gonna do is you're gonna take your piece of material. After it's washed, give it a good iron. Wrinkly material, I just realized the pattern pieces I brought are kind of wrinkly. So, but I did iron them, I swear. So this is the material. So this is the wrong side of this material, and this is the right side. So a little trick I learned, instead of laying the fabric out as single, which is funny because when I make clothes and stuff like that, I put them face to face. So what I was doing is I was putting them backside. Here, I'll show you on the other pattern. You'll probably be able to see it better. So this is the pattern that I'm using today. So I was putting them backside to backside, cutting out the pattern, and then having to flip them because you have to put them right side to sew them together. Well, how about when you cut them out, put the material right side to right side so that once it's cut out, it's already ready for you to sew. Right? Little ways to make it quicker and speedier. Okay, so you lay your pattern down on your material, right? Pattern, today I'm using the adult male size. It's a little bit bigger. Male size, I'm just gonna call it the bigger size because, anyways, don't get me started on that. So, cut out, so there we go, I've laid it down, I've cut out the template. I now have 2 pieces, okay? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna lay them together. You get to hear my sewing machine. I've talked to her nicely today to hopefully she doesn't have a little hiccup. She's kind of excited to be here too. This is my Genome. There we go. Okay, so what we're gonna do first is we're gonna stitch from here all the way along this curve here. I like to make this as easy as possible. So on your sewing machine, you're gonna have the different lines, right? For like 1/4 inch, 1/8 of an inch, 1/8 of an inch, 3/4 inch, that kind of thing. I use the edge of the presser foot. Way easier. It's just how I roll. Okay, here we go. So often when you are at the beginning and the end, you wanna do a back stitch. So you stitch in a little bit and then you go backwards a little bit. I don't do that with these parts. Okay? There are certain parts we'll do that, but not with this one. Okay, here we go. Okay. You see? I also like I don't match my thread to my fabric, just saying. I kind of like being able to see, my thread on my material, and it's kind of fun that way. Sometimes it's rainbow thread, who knows. So, see, so I don't even know how much is that. That's like almost 3/8 of an inch in. You can also adjust the sizes just by going in further on the stitching, right? Okay, so now what we're gonna do, to make it kind of smooth, so you fold it inside out a little bit, and then you recreate the pocket, that just kind of loosens it up. We're gonna fold Oh, I guess I should have said, you can put pins in this before you stitch it if you want to. You can pin it. I don't follow all the sewing rules, so I might share some of my bad habits. But you can put pins in to hold the material there. Also, if it's slippery material, but I find the cotton holds together really well on its own without having to put the pins in. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna fold this, see, like that, and we're gonna do a stitch right along there. Okay, so right along there this is where the seam is, and we're gonna do a little tiny stitch right in there. And I use as a guide on the foot, here, I'm gonna, not a whiteboard, but guess what? I got a whiteboard. So, okay, so that's like the presser foot if you were looking down at it, except it would be this way. If you're looking down at it, and then the needle's back here. So basically if the needle's stitching down here, I use this as the guideline. So it's, what is that? That's like an 1/8, a 16th, something like that. Okay? Okay, here we go. So basically I'm lining up that little gap space with the seam. Okay. I guess black may not have been the best color to pick. Okay, can you see that? Let's see if we can. So what this is doing, you don't have to do this step. You can avoid this step altogether and just take your iron and press down the seam on the inside, right? You can just press it down to one side and carry on your way. I like doing this because it finishes it really nicely and it forms just that little bit better to your face, okay? Let's go. So like I said, you have options here. I'm showing you my preference and giving you some other options, but this is what we got. So I'm gonna cut off the little extra strings here. Okay. So I have a piece that's already the inside. So I think I can show you on this guy. So I did the exact same thing. So see, there's maybe you can see, there's the stitching right there. So I've taken 4 pieces, 1, 2, 3, 4, and done the exact same thing. I like using patterns. People have asked me for plain masks. I don't even actually have any plain material. It's just what happens. So we're gonna take the one, I'm gonna call this the outside piece. This is gonna be the front of the mask. But what's great about these masks too is they're reversible. So this is my mask, right? It normally looks like that. If I wear it reversed, you just end up with some of the pattern from the inside on the outside when you wear it reversed. So it's kind of fun. You actually get like choices, right? Okay, so the outside piece, we're gonna turn inside out. See, just like that. The inside piece is right side out. We're gonna tuck the inside piece into the outside piece. See? But see, the pieces that are touching are the right sides. Right side, right side. They're touching each other. See? And the outside, the wrong sides, I hate to call them the wrong sides, the not visible side is on the outsides. Okay? Now this, totally pin this in place if you want. Okay? You can pin them. What you're gonna do is you're gonna line up the middle seams together and then pin out from there, okay? Like I said, I'm a bad little sewer. I'm not gonna pin. Even though I brought pins to show you and I was gonna be like, I'm gonna be all good. Didn't pin, okay. I highly suggest doing the piece that has the nose. So you can see the piece that has the nose kind of has a little, remember, this is our pattern. The piece that has the nose has the little lip. So I'm gonna do the top piece first, okay? And again, I'm just using the edge of the presser foot because we want to work smarter, not harder. So edge of the presser foot is my guideline. See, because I didn't pin it, I'm readjusting as I go. So who knows which way is quicker? Now, if my kid was here, he'd be like, Mama, you have to pin. Because I'm teaching him to sew. It's all about making sure you do everything by the book. Okay, so see that? There we go. That's all along the top there. Yep. Okay, so now, can you guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to do the bottom edge. Okay, so we're going to sew these guys together. Again, I'm just using the presser foot as the gauge of where my seam is going to go. And I've just found this, I think I'm telling you the tricks as if you're making them in large batches, because right now I'm making them in large batches at home. So you want to try and work as smart as you can. You'll also find, depending on the material you pick, so I picked this really beautiful batik, I don't have one with me, batik material. It was gorgeous. The thing is, it doesn't have as much, it's cotton, but its waist different, it doesn't have as much stretch. So technically, this cotton doesn't have a lot of stretch, but it is more flexible. And so I find when putting them together, sometimes you're like, oh look, this end seems to be a little bit longer than that end. And it's just what happens. And then you just adjust. I tend to just trim the ends and fold them inside out, and you just have a slight adjustment. Okay, so now you have this. And you're like, what do I do with this? Oh, this is the stage. I need to tell you something. So this is without a filter. If you were going to put a filter in here, instead of on the inside piece sewing along the whole edge, all you're going to do is sew like in about 1/8 of an inch at the top and 1/8 of an inch at the bottom, just to hold it in place. Then you're going to sew it together like this, because when you turn it inside out, these two pieces right here, are going to have an opening, and they're going to be on the inside. Your mask technically won't be reversible then, but you'll have this opening to put your filter in that space if you choose to have a filter. Honestly, the nose pieces, I haven't done any of the nose pieces because I just couldn't bring myself to do that. Some people are more comfortable with those, like I said, with glasses. So you can put nose pieces in, but unfortunately I can't really give you any advice on that one, because from my understanding, well, I could maybe, from my understanding, there's like a process of putting a little pocket right in this, because you don't want it right at the top, you want it down just a little bit. Yeah, and that was just a little too finicky for me. Okay, plus, truthfully, I wanted to keep the cost down for making sure that they can get out to the community, because the second you start adding more stuff, the cost goes up. And I know there's a lot of people that need masks, and I didn't want to be like, here's a $40 mask, right? Because some people literally just need a cover, because what do they say? But when I say they, I mean like Dr. Bonnie and the government and stuff. They say that by you wearing a mask and you wearing a mask, it can cut down a lot. Because if I wear a mask, it's like 50% reduced. If you wear a mask, it's another, so we're reducing everything a lot. So now I'm turning this inside out. See? Oh, we have more. Oh, can you post? What did she say? Oh, you already put it there. You're already doing it. She's not, it's funny, I'm so used to doing these by myself. I'm like, oh, she's already done it. It's awesome. Okay, so we're gonna turn it around. Was that about posting the pattern? Yeah, awesome. Okay. And like you probably missed it, Sarah, but at the beginning, it's Tiana's closet is where the pattern is. So it's, see, right there, Tiana's closet. That's where I got the mask pattern from. The only difference, and you'll see this, you can always rewatch this video at the beginning, is I adjusted the small mask, the smaller mask. I guess it would be the medium for her, because she has the 3 sizes, the kid, the female, and the male. I extended it all the way to the back side for the female size mask, because it's more comfortable back here, because if not, it cuts off right here, and it's less comfortable, very much so. Okay, so turn it inside out. I've actually employed my child to help me with some of these steps. So I do multiple at a time as I'm running them through, and then they need the strings cut in between. So he gets some money for that. It's per item, and then he helps me with this, with the turning inside out. Okay, so we've turned it inside out. This is where you can use a chopstick, you can use a pencil, you can use your fingers, but you just want to get the seams. And see, I haven't even told you where you should be ironing. We'll go there. You're just going along, I'm just going along inside on the seam, but truthfully, this is how I do it. Is I just take a bunch of my fingers up inside and I just run my hands along the seam on one, and then I do that again on the other side. Okay. Now, this is where a good little sewer would take this and would iron it, okay? So what you're doing is you're ironing the edges, you're just making them nice and crisp and flat. All I do is I hold it really snug, and we're gonna do the same thing that we did when we made that beautiful seam to finish the edges. So you don't have to do this step. Excuse me. You don't have to do this step. You don't have to finish the edges like this at all. I just find, again, it fits nicer and it looks nicer, and it's just super helpful, okay? So, you ready? I'm gonna do both, and then I'm gonna come back to you. Again, we're just using the little line in the middle, so I think it's like 1/8 of an inch marker or something. Oh, actually. So I'm not going to be going all the way up to the edge, and I'll tell you why in a minute. I'm going to go down and start the stitching about here, okay? So 1/8 of an inch. I'm starting with 1/8 of an inch. Everything's 1/8 of an inch. Or a presser foot width. That's like when somebody asks, how far is it? I'm like, about 3 of me. Okay, here we go. I mean, technically you can hand stitch a mask too. I mean, we have time on our hands, right? If you don't have a sewing machine. So I got the top seam, now I'm going to do the bottom finishing edge. The table that I'm using is flexible, and so when I go really fast, it's like it's pretty fun. Okay, so I'm gonna snip off all your like extraneous. So we got like extra threads here. We're just gonna snip those guys off. Okay, so here you go. Lovely, right? So this is the larger mask. Don't worry if this isn't going in the shop, but this is a larger mask. What I find too is you'll notice a natural way when you put them together that the inside, that's why I like making the inside and the outside just as beautiful, because you find a natural inside and outside. So this, when I fold it like this, it feels lovely and it's good, but you can see, right? But when I turn it the other way, it just kind of like sits that little bit better. You see the difference? It's not like puckering and stuff. So I do that with all my masks too. I'll be like, oh, this is totally gonna be great on the outside. But then once I sew it, I'm like, oh, it's actually good on the inside. So you can see the difference in size. See this little guy? And I made this one. So this is the one with the short side. The new style I make actually goes all the way back. Okay, so this is a short one. But see the size difference? Like this guy goes like all up to my eyes. So this is quite a bit. I mean, an inch is a lot when you think of your face. Like that's quite a bit. Okay, so I am actually going to make what I had originally said to be the outside, I think. Hold on. Not ready yet. Don't worry, I don't do this with all my masks. I'm just doing it for you today to show you because you're making it at home. This is gonna be my partner's new mask. Okay, so now we have these edges and we gotta make the space. We gotta make the space, right? This is where the elastic's gonna go in, or the string, right? That kind of thing can go in as well. So this is where that's gonna go in. The easiest way I've found, so you can do one of two ways. You can either fold this edge down just a little bit to get the thing, and then fold it again. And you can measure, you can eyeball it, right? But you want it to make sure that it is big enough for the elastic to go through there. Oh, I didn't bring a safety pin. I need a safety pin. I just realized I have no way of stringing through the elastic. I brought everything else but a safety pin. Thank goodness for Julie. So yes, you want to make sure it's wide enough that the elastic can go through there, okay? So the thing is, if you fold it a little bit like this and then fold it down, you have to make sure you get exactly on that edge or it's just going to pop out. So the way I have found I like to do it is I actually, because there's this little pocket, right? And this is why we don't sew down all the way. Because we're going to put, it's funny I say it's easier, but it's easier in the sense that it won't pop out once you've sewn it, okay? So I've tucked, see, I've tucked the edges in. Now I'm going to fold it over again. So I don't even know how wide this is. It's about a thumb width, so it's about 1 inch. But like I said, all you want to do is you want to take your elastic. I'm using, what is this? This is over 1/4 inch. I find 1/4 inch too small and it kind of pulls because we're going around the head. So this is, what is that for? I think this is 5/8. Is this 5/8? Yeah, it's a, no, 1/2 inch. It's not a 1/4, it's the next size up. When you're looking for elastic, it's whatever is above the 1/4 inch. But you can do whatever size you want. If you're comfortable with 1/4 inch, go for it. If that's all you can find, go for it. If all you can find is that there's that really, really thin round elastic, use it. We're also going to talk about other things that you can use, right? Okay, so I'm going to do both sides like this. I'm just going to line up the edge of the presser foot again as my guide. And this is where we're going to go back and forth, okay? And we're going to go all the way up to the top edge and all the way down. I'll show you once I complete that. I wish I had like one of those cameras I could be like, look at what I'm doing. You could like squeeze in there. Okay, I'm going to chop off some. So a mask from start to finish, when you're just doing like one mask and you're not mask producing them, takes you about 15 minutes once you get going and you're in the swing of things. Okay, so I'm just taking off all these extras. So, see? Can you see it? So the line is right there. So I lined up the presser foot on the left with this edge, okay? So I ran it through the machine with this edge on the left-hand side, just lined up to the presser foot, okay? Okay, now I'm going to do the other one. Yay! Oh no! I don't know if any of those will work. Oh, we're gonna figure this out. It's so funny, that's one thing I forgot. I was like, I have everything! It's okay. It might just take a little extra finagling, but we'll get it done. Okay, next one. Okay, so now we have 2 pockets. Ooh, we might actually be able to. Okay. Okay, so see, we now have both, right? So this is the same as on this one where the elastics go through. So now you get to see me attempt to, let's see if that guy might work. Is it okay if I pull the, okay. So we're gonna see if we can take it. Why is it that happens? You're like, ugh, they're in your hair and those little like, we're trying to use a bobby pin. I don't know if that works. Here, let's see if we can push it through without it being. Okay, so you take your elastic and you put a safety pin through it. But we're using a bobby pin today because I forgot safety pins. So you can use other things, okay? You don't have to use elastic. Like I said, you can, if you have an extra t-shirt, what you do is you cut a length long enough. So I would do 22 inches still because you can always trim it. But what you would do is when you run it through so that it goes up here and then the ends hang down here. So that you put it on and then you tighten it behind the base of your neck. So that's also another way you can do this, and it's not the elastic. See? Right, there we go. So good. So I ran it through that, and now I'm putting it through this. See? You're gonna fold your mask in half, and you're just gonna kind of tighten it down. So if you're using a shoelace, or you're using string, or you're using something you don't have to sew together, it's okay. You're now done. You now have your mask, right? You would put it on. You would put this piece up behind your head and your face mask on. The ways we do things. Put your face mask on, and then you would tie this behind your neck, right? And you can snug it in. It's also good to have other options because if you can't get elastic, right? Okay, so you have your two pieces like this. Now what you're gonna do, so I'm making sure that they're the same direction, right? So like they're coming down, I wanna make sure that they're the same direction. Okay, so I'm folding them over each other about an inch, no, about 1/4 of an inch. Okay, you can pin this. I'm gonna switch my machine to the zigzag stitch. So we've been on, I guess I should have told you that at the beginning, we've been on straight stitch the whole time. With a bit smaller, like, well, I had mine at 2.5 for stitch length, but you can do smaller. I wouldn't really do bigger because you want to make sure it's going to last, right? Because you're going to be washing these and hanging them to dry. So putting it on that, I'm going to put the zigzag on about 3. And all we're doing is we're zigzagging over the elastic to hold it in place. And again, I'm not pinning, I'm just using the presser foot to pull down on it. We're gonna go back and forth a couple of times. I'm gonna cut a bigger zigzag. So I just upped my zigzag to about 5. So that it's the width. Basically, you wanna go as close to the width of the elastic as you can. Okay, turn that guy off. We're gonna snip the ends. You wanna make it nice and clean. This is also one of the jobs I get my kidlet to do. So they can help out. Everybody can learn how to be creative, right? So see? And you can see on both sides, that's what's beautiful about the zigzag stitch with this kind of elastic, is it's just like, there you go, done. Then you pull the zigzag into the little pocket area, and you have your mask. Okay, I'm gonna put it on so I can show you how to put it on. I warn you, I might get it stuck in my bobby pins because I've got a lot of bobby pins back there. Okay, so what you do is you kind of tuck it under your chin, up and over. Right, feels a little bit snug that way. You're gonna have it behind your head. And then all you do is you take this and you can either put it up just over your ears, or you can put it up at the back of your face. So this is a large, so as you can see, I can't really see with this guy. But they go underneath the chin as well, which is nice. And they go back. So both of the sizes with the adjustment will go all the way back to here. The adjustment, I talked about at the beginning of the video. I succeeded in getting out of my trap. I've been having a lot of fun with these, personally, because why not make it fun? Right? Why not have these fun patterns? You can see some of the ones up there with like shark's faces and super fun things. If you're choosing to wear a mask or you're required to for your job, let's have some fun with this, right? Let's put a smile on each other's face. I just want to let's make sure I got through everything. Types of ties we talked about. Research. Yes, research the material that you're using. We talked about cotton and natural fibers, cotton, bamboo, silk, but don't do pure silk. I tried to make one out of some stuff, and oh my goodness, that was sucked to put together because it just keeps slipping from each other. So the cotton adds a bit of a grip. And the types of filters. If you are choosing to put a filter in, so I'll show you. We didn't do a filter on this one. But if you had chosen to do a filter and you'd only stitched these end pieces, when this was tucked like this, there would be the pocket right in here. And you just open it up and tuck your filter in there. But again, research what kind of filters you're using, because not all materials are created equal. And if we're doing this for our health, let's make sure that the stuff that we're putting on our face is also for our health. Yeah. I totally love that you joined us today. If you're watching the replay, if you have questions, you can always put them in the comments as you're watching the replay. Julie can, if she doesn't know the answer, can get a hold of me. If you're loving it and you're like, sweet, masks, but you're like, I'm totally not gonna make one, or you don't have a sewing machine, you can always reach out. I don't know if my link is there, but we can always put my contact information. You can always reach out. I'm constantly making these. You can also, if they're refilled, at Market Garden on Catherine Street there, that's where I've been also selling them, either through me or through Market Garden. But yeah, stay well, stay safe, and make the choice. It's up to you to decide what you feel comfortable with in this moment, okay? And this is just another tool for you to either choose or not. I hope that helped, and it was interesting to be here, but thank you so much, and have a great day.